What's up guys, Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at replays from Discord members, and I'm excited to do this because I feel like lately I haven't been able to do exact replay analysis of members or just people who are active in the community, so I want to kind of give back a little bit and do this for everyone. So I'm just picking up a couple replays I asked in the gameleap Discord, so if you're not in there, I recommend you check it out. It should be in the description of this video, and let's get into it. And really the main purpose of this video, I guess before we actually get into it, is really just to help you guys understand what are the general mistakes of most players. This is the type of video where you should watch it through, and no matter what role you are, you should be learning about every single role so you can either teach your friends, learn yourself if you plan on swapping roles, or simply just understand about the other roles. Because if I'm a support, I want to know about mid so I can know how to gank better, what timings I should be looking for, you know, what I should be thinking about, and so on. So if you're interested in that or excited for the video, please like it. It helps me out. And let's get into it. Also, over on the main gameleap website, I plan to do some more content in terms of pro replays. Usually, I focus more on doing the pro replays for YouTube, but I want to do a few for the main website as well. In addition, I'm doing Random 6K, if you don't know what that is. Random 6K is where I basically play pubs and I analyze my own games so you can get in the head of, you know, me, a pro player, because typically when I'm doing these pro replay analysis, I have to, not completely guess, but somewhat guess on what they're thinking and what their opinions are. But when I'm doing my own replay analysis, I can give you exactly what I'm thinking and show you exactly how I win my games and how you can do it too. So the first person we're going to be following is DannyBoy on SF. And what I noticed as I quickly watched through the replay, your laning stage is a bit off. The main thing I would focus on is you're tanking creeps a lot. So that's the first thing you need to look into. You're tanking creeps just a ton, and you need to avoid it as much as you can. Overall, past that, your ability to actually amp your farm was relatively impressive. You are Divine too, so it's relatively expected of this bracket, but I could definitely tell that there's some laning mechanic issues that are giga holding you back. So what you need to do as a player is really look at your laning mechanics, because guys, this is going to help you all. If you're a mid lane player and you're trying to gain MMR, the main thing you need to do is improve your first 10 minutes. Your first 10 minutes need to be very good. Now, you should copy what DannyBoy is doing in this case, where it's, you know, he's pushing in mid, jungle. That's awesome. 62 CS at 839 is great, but I noticed in your laning stage there's a lot of lacking mechanics that are just things CCNC or Sumail would do much better on SF and allow them to actually beat the TA, not actually lose, because you are technically losing by quite a lot. She's almost 1k ahead, which is very significant, right? So make sure for you personally and for all you other mid players, you need to copy and consistently play things like 1v1s or really just focus on your laning stage if you're trying to get better at the role, because frankly that's like the most important thing for mid. It's one of the things where, yeah, like mid game and ganking are important, but if you watch how most mid laners, even in high MMR games, snowball, it's winning their lane and then just simply farming all the nearby camp. That's like kind of the main gist. Even though it sounds really simple, it's the reality. Don't always overthink it. So I'm kind of just looking through the game, and I'm just going to speed through it a little bit here, and you guys can watch along with me to really kind of just see if you notice any main mistakes. And you can even comment down below if during this small duration where we're just going to watch together if you notice anything. But really what I want to say is, I think everything you're generally doing is quite solid. Like if I was to play this game, it would probably look very similar to what you're doing. The only thing was, once again, just to really reiterate it and get it through your head, because I think this is the best way to teach, is your laning stage was so lackluster that it's, if your team wasn't doing so well, which frankly they are, your Phoenix managed to beat a Jug, which just is quite silly to some extent, and your PA beat a Centaur, which is also silly to some extent. Like if this doesn't happen, you're most likely going to lose this game, right? It's kind of why TA is so good, but it's also the same reason why SF is so good. They're both good at, you know, snowballing, so I'm glad that you're doing this, because if you didn't play this farming-oriented style, I think you would be kind of griefing your team even harder. But for the most part, you as a player, your laning stage is very abysmal, and this is kind of what I'm trying to say. The person you were against is a higher rank than you by quite a bit of MMR, like what, 200-300? And that's kind of the difference, in my opinion, between each little bracket. Now, you might be like, well, Speed, that's just overthinking it, you know, surely that much MMR doesn't matter. Well, I certainly think it does to a large extent, I really do. Because if you don't focus on these type of things and aren't critical about, you know, the reasons why you're not making it to the next bracket, you're just going to struggle. I don't really think there's a particular play you could have made this game that would be efficient. Maybe in this case, like, you sort of see your team getting set up bottom, maybe you could call to actually fight them, but for the most part, it's like, okay, well, my PA is farming well, my Phoenix is doing fine, so you don't have to make any plays, and therefore I'm cool with you not forcing anything. Just to be clear, guys, you do not have to, always, you do not have to just run around and make plays all game. This is a huge misconception within the Dota community where it's like, oh, I got ahead and I'm the mid laner, let me go like fight for 18 minutes straight coming out of the laning stage. It's absolutely ridiculous that people think this. I literally had a Spectre that I was playing against who went Vanguard, no boots, just ganked the entire game and was complaining that we weren't fighting with him. This was course, obviously unranked, because no one in my bracket would actually do that. However, it just goes to show the point that these misconceptions exist, and you shouldn't overlook them within yourself. Even though it might not be that drastic to the point where you're a Vanguard Spectre, you still might be trying to force things when you really shouldn't be. Or you're trying to force things that are in bad areas, bad vision, and without smokes. And that's really where I kind of want to wrap up this replay. Sorry that I made it so general, it didn't point out any individual things. I think overall you're on the right path in terms of idea of how to play the game. I think what you need to look into is how the top players really enable themselves to snowball hard. It doesn't feel to me like you really understand how to maybe, farm towards ganks and pop off. But you do know how to play clean, which is why you're in Divine, and it's why anyone trying to get to Divine should try to play like this. Actually, funny enough, right as I was about to end the replay, I saw a big misplay. That kind of goes to show your lack of map awareness. So everyone, let's look at the map. This is actually really important and is going to help a lot of people. So currently what we see bottom is 3 heroes on your team and 2 on their team top. Now, this is how Dota works, 9 times out of 10, right? Where it's like, okay, one team farms one side of the map, the other team farms the other. So why are you not paying any attention to the fact that your team is bottom and their team is top? It should be very obvious to you that the enemy team is trying to place wards on that nearby hill or just in that general area if they're even relatively decent, because that's how you control areas. So it makes no legitimate sense to me why you would walk up a hill where a hero like TA is going to sit on top of it. Now, I don't know if she had a ward, but it wouldn't shock me if she did. No, she's just being a psycho, which is fine, because being a psycho in this MMR bracket, actually in any MMR bracket, it's a relatively good idea if you have a plan. Right? So please, for me, you need to be looking at the minimap if you're going to try to go up an MMR as a player. Guys, if you're a core player and you're not really good at, reading movements, you're going to struggle. It's like the biggest thing you can do to improve when it comes to game sense. All right, for the next clip, we're going to be following Old Man Jenkins. Crusader 5, thank you for submitting. And the first thing I want to show to you all is what I like to call the range creep bait. So this is by far the best way to know how to or when to actually kill people during the laning stage, and you want to avoid it as much as possible. Basically, the premise of this is, if you are a hero with a nuke, you should nuke range creeps, and heroes that don't have nukes for range creeps are actually at a slight disadvantage in the laning stage for that exact purpose, right? Their inability to shove the wave and safely take range creeps. So the premise of this is, basically, if you go for the range creep and it's the last creep in the lane, it is very dangerous and will often get you either hardcore punished, if not killed, right? And we're gonna see this here, and you might be like, well, Speed, this is very niche and this only happens every so often. No, you would be shocked. In fact, in high MMR games, when they're very critical about when to punish, this is the main way they know, or one of the main ways they know to actually go on the person, right? Because it means they have a creep advantage or the person is simply overextending. So let's look at what he does here that is actually a big mistake, right? So there's only one range creep left, right? And if the Wind Ranger is a good player, she will actually nuke it. Now, I know this is not a thing in lower MMR brackets, so what should you do? Well, if you feel like it is completely safe to take, you can take it. But if they are even relatively aggressive on you, you have to back. This is what I call the range creep debate, right? It's the last creep in the wave, and I know it might be like, well, can't you just punish them on it as well? Technically, yes, because you actually have more creeps than them. But in this lane, you're actually extremely weak. Pudge is just a hero against Bristle where you don't do well if Bristle takes goo. Actually, I am a huge fan of this Bristleback player besides this. Oh my gosh. Why would he do that? Wait, what are you doing? Like, why would you not take the second point in this? It literally doubles in base damage and alright, whatever. But he took goo, which is hype because goo is a hardcore counter to Pudge. It literally hardcore counters the Pudge because it drops him below negative armor, amping his physical damage very heavily. And you die for it. So essentially, be very careful about committing for range creeps if it's the last one. Actually, I don't even need in this situation to call it the last one in the lane. Just don't go for range creeps if you know that the other lane even has relative kill potential, which is why you die here. So moving on into the lane, we see a big sequence here of just kind of poor decision making. Now you might be like, well, how do I actually solve this problem? You are not using creep aggro whatsoever. You are not pulling back creeps at all, right? You need to pull back the creeps. Even if it's just basic CS, you need to pull back the creeps. And let's look at when he dies, right? It's like the same situation, you know what I mean? Not exactly, because you technically didn't go for it, but you're just dead again, right? Because this lane is absolutely obnoxious. So you might be like, well, what is the solution? Well, either you need to go pull for yourself. Also, you have not eaten a tango, you're getting gone on. If you're getting gone on, you have to eat a tango. That's literally the first reaction you should have if you're trading or just getting gone on. But then, like, would it have kept you alive? Probably not. But regardless, it's one of those things where you either need to A, instruct your Wind Ranger to pull. If she's not going to pull, you need to pull, right? I hate these core players that think that, you know, they just have this legal obligation never to pull. Guys, I don't know why you think this. It's totally fine. You'll get plenty of XP from pulling. Your support will get XP and your game impact will be much higher than dying twice in a row. Also, that Slaughter is actually jungling. He should be playing Venomancer. Regardless, now you TP top. right? This is just kind of meh. I mean, I guess Slaughter is jungling, so you can sort of take the lane, which is chill. But really, the main thing you need to fix as a player is your ability to creep aggro in the lane and play defensive when you do not see the enemies who can kill you. Frankly, that also is just kind of identifying kill threat. In addition, I don't really like the hook here. I feel like taking Rot level 2 is relatively important, simply because this ability doubles in damage, which makes it actually useful. In fact, you could even harass the PA quite a bit here. This is not a good time to go. This doesn't make any sense. Okay, this is what we call uncalculated pressure. This is what we call unsynergized pressure. Guys, so I know this is quote-unquote a low moment game. If I'm like talking to you right now and this is a coaching session, I'd ask you, well, why did you decide to go now and not when your line was ready, right? Or when your line at least had stun up? Because, right, he stuns. It's actually up in 2 seconds. Oh, good lord, this is awful. I hate that lines do this. But you want him to stun, right? So you don't miss the hook. Now you hit the hook and you're like, oh, Speed, I hit the hook, so like, clearly it was the right play, right? No. The problem is you're not synergizing your damage. If you work together, you automatically amp the amount of damage you deal. Also, you won't have to go under tower. All you have to do is tell the lion to go on him. Either say it in voice chat, because that's the best way to get people to do something, confidence in voice chat, or spam ping him, right? I don't know why you would go in. Maybe you expected him to stun, I don't know. But that's what you need to ping, because this is just an awful attempt once it goes under tower. It's literally an awful attempt. Should the lion be going in? Yes. Should you even have hook? Like, you see how bad this is? It's just, Sorry, I actually don't know what else to say, but it's just like, it's so unsynergized, it's not at the right time, you're not under tower, you should be waiting for the pull. Man, you're dead. Holy. You need to be going with your lion. Guys, work with your teammates. Work with your teammates. Ping them, right? You can't expect them to know what you're thinking. You have to ping them or say it in all chat. I don't care if you don't want to do it. If you want to get better, that's what I'm suggesting. All right, now basically what I want to talk about is how to slow down going into the mid game. Wow, you are 1-8. I cannot believe you actually submitted this. You are an absolute trooper, my brother. But let's talk about slowing down the game, because you have 6 deaths. I don't know what's happening. I can't tell if you're like tilting or something. Why do you keep dying? What happens now? Okay, so you like TB bottom or something? I can't even tell. Why did you TB bottom? Why did this play come into your head? It doesn't make any sense. You don't want to lean against a bristleback. That's much worse than PA. That is significantly worse than PA. In fact, Pudge is actually very good against PA, right? Which is why this makes literally no sense. I'm sorry, man, but like, it makes no sense. Why would you TP to the lane that is hard to kill? You might be like, well, my Slaughter was not going, and I expected him to go. I'm sorry that I keep using this voice. It's just like kind of, it's just what I hear. It's like, what I'm thinking you're thinking is that you could have gone with your teammates on the bristle. Why would you gank a bristleback? It's just going to cause you to use 200% more resources than trying to gank a PA. Tell them to come top if you're looking for kills, or simply just go farm top. This is so pointless. You don't want to lane against bristleback. He reduces your armor and kills you, right? It doesn't work. I just don't understand why you're going to the worst lane possible in this situation. You got out of it, which was fine early game. But like, oh no, just walk up to him. Oh. I hate blind hooks. I just want to rip my head off. Oh my gosh. It's just so much running around. You're diving a tower. Like, what are you doing? I mean, I know this is a culmination of multiple mistakes, so you feel pressure to do garbage plays now, but essentially all you could do instead is go kill the small camp or drag. Basically, one of the safest plays to do in this bracket is you drag the wave into the small camp and you farm them both at the same time. There you go. Extreme efficiency. Let's get into the next replay. So next up, we're going to be following Game Boy Advance on the Vengeful Spear, your Ancient 5, and let's get into it. So the first thing I have to point out is Ring of Protection. I feel like this should be 2 more mangoes or a salve, right? Because you're laning against Arc Warden and Disruptor, 2 heroes that are, you know, they will right-click you because, you know, every hero right-clicks in the laning stage. Most of your damage in the laning stage, at least for the first 2 levels, typically right-clicks. But you should still have a salve so you could at least either help your Tiny or simply, you know, just deal with all the nukes that these 2 heroes have. Regardless, the first issue I have is your positioning in this laning stage. You were simply standing in the middle of the lane. What does this do? It gives vision of you, and what does vision do? It allows the opponents to cast their spells and right-click you. And that is exactly what happens here. Where should you be instead? Well, you have 2 options that are legitimate in my opinion. You could either be here and trying to zone this guy from the left side because it would create a 1v1 situation, where your Tiny can tank the damage from Disruptor, which frankly isn't that bad because he can protect himself with the creep wave. Or you can sit in this little area or this little area and try to gank the Disruptor to some extent, right? Catch him off guard, right? And get the first right click in. Basically, the goal is to get the first right click in. So what you want to do is you want to right click, Wave of Terror, right click, right? This is kind of the pattern for most supports. But instead, how this trade begins is nuke, hit in his favor, hit, and now it's just obviously trading with Disruptor, which is pretty trash because you can't juke him, right? So against Disruptor, the key is to never get in a situation like that. And how do you do that? Well, it's the vision game. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense, and it's a really key to trading. Also, this is a bad time to trade because the wave is pushing into you, so it's an absolute disaster because the Tiny can't help you. So really, you've been just trading extremely poorly to start this lane. The way you need to change this is A, by wave of terroring the wave so that there's less creeps and it pushes into their tower, which is far better because it allows you to trade with the support better. Or you need to make sure you're quote unquote ganking someone in terms of trading, right? Oh my god, you ate a branch Tango. That I hate when supports do that. It's not even that bad here. It's just like so cringy to me because it's like, don't you want a magic wand? It's, I don't know, just ship out another set of Tangos or something like that. Oh my god, she bought a stick as well, which isn't bad. I mean, the stick is great. I just yeah, like at this point in the lane, your impact has just been basically 0, and it's essentially because of your positioning. Like, you're not enabling yourself to actually do anything with Tiny. This really confuses me because it's funny how I had to say the same thing in the Crusader game and the same thing in the Ancient game, but this is like the biggest lacking of many people. There's a couple things you need to think about that high armor players do the best, especially like High Immortal. It's synergy in lane between the two partners, and it's the ability to pull. These two things is the biggest separations between low and high armor players by a large margin, right? And you need to think about this because look at you and look at the Tiny. There's no synergy. I would love to see you just go cast Wave of Terror on the Arc Warden and tell Tiny to hit him. Like, that was good. You know, that was a good sequence. I wish you would back up a little bit earlier. It took him a bit. Meh trading here, but then let's look at your following trade. Oh wait, I was actually looking at what was before, but even if we look at here, it's like, I just kind of want to see you guys go on someone together. It's so unsynergistic. Like, I'm going to go back. So really just to pay attention to it, it's like, you're going to hit level 2 relatively soon, and that's a big spike, but I'd love to just see you cast Wave of Terror at all. It blows my mind that you could have full mana for an entire 2 minutes. Like, that stack is mediocre at best. Frankly, you don't really want to stack right now because you have an OD. OD can't even take the stacks this early. Like, it will be okay later on, I guess, for Tiny. It's not a bad thing. It's just like, you should focus primarily on your lane. That was okay. I'm just concerned that there's just this, I don't know, there's such a disconnect between you and the Tiny, which I know it's like, oh, it's a pub, how could we have synergy? Well, frankly, high armor players kind of just understand who they have to go on, and even if you are a low armor player, it's just all about those pings that I'm talking about. Like I've played on a Smurf before. You can hate me for it or not. Whatever, you can think whatever you want to think, but basically the way I get them to do things is I just say in all chat or I spam ping the person I want to go on, and I do it in Game Boy Advance, right? Because that basically allows you to synergize, right? Even here, it's just like, you basically say, hey, I'm gonna stun this guy, go on him. Even if it's just Arc Warden, the guy only has Tangos, right? So just go, you know, just commit your spells. I don't know why you have full mana and a Mango and Stick and a Clarity. It's like, go do something. All right, finally, kind of. It seems so scuffed. It's like, once again, a lack of synergy. I don't know how to express this to you guys more than just like try to work together and try to make calls, right? Be the leader in game, in lane, and you'll do so much better. All right, getting into the game, I think this Vlad's purchase is okay. Typically more of a fan of buying like Glimmer, even though like it makes sense for your team because you have a lot of right clickers, but Glimmer is so broken in solo queue, I can't even express it. But regardless, you have Glimmer queued up next. That's kind of chill. You got bracers, you got smokes. I'm cool with this, you know, things are going on. It seems like that ward's gonna get dewarded, so that was pretty mediocre. I feel like you should have known if there was already a sentry there. Regardless, let's kind of see what you guys do. Is Roche dead? Tell me Roche is dead. Please tell me Roche is dead. Alright, I don't know why you guys aren't taking Roche. Or at least, like, it doesn't make any... Where's the game plan here? What is your objective right now? I have to ask you, like, what is the objective? Is it this tier 2? Not really. This tier 2 kind of means nothing. It kind of means nothing, right? Like, what does it actually mean? Not really anything in particular. It just kind of means you have to take it and fight around the area, which isn't too great. What actually is the objective is Roche. So, like, when you guys are wrapping through here, this seems like such a free Roche to me. It's like... You know they're playing topish side, and you can go try to set up for it. Now, if they contest you with Spark Rates, it's fine, because you can set up a ward here and then swap them in, right? It's like such an advantage around Roche fights. It's like you get your team to coordinate, you put down a ward right here, and if someone walks up, you're just like, yoink, you swap them in your entire team, and it's a free kill. Instead, it's like, I don't know, you're not wording for Roche. I doubt you're making the call for your team, which doesn't make too much sense to me, because as a support, you need to be thinking about things like Roche with a Drow lineup, you know what I mean? Like, if I look at your team, I instantly think Roche. It's a Drow lineup with Avenge, but it doesn't seem to me like you're thinking that at all, which, in my opinion, is a major issue of a lot of players. All right, you guys are gonna get a Rubik pick off. I don't know how that guy walks into you, because clearly you're playing top. Regardless, fight keeps going on. Please go Roche. Please go Roche. Woohoo! Oh, yes! Alright. I don't know who made the call, but Pog, I'm gonna end this replay there. Great work. And that's going to be all for the video. Hopefully you guys take a lot out of that. I feel like there's some pretty solid points that people can be thinking about, and that's kind of the goal of these videos. It's like just looking at realistic game situations and really trying to break them down. So if you enjoyed that, let me know in the comments, and obviously like the video, it helps me out. And of course, if you're interested in getting your own replay reviewed, I don't do this commonly, right? I can't just do this for everyone. That's actually what I provide my coaching students. If you're interested in coaching, you can DM me on Discord. I do it very consistently, and I've had a lot of success with students in the past. But regardless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Are you tired of being hard stuck at your rank? Over at gameleap.com, we have a library of hundreds of guides authored by pro players and coaches covering literally every aspect of Dota. Whether you're looking to master a new hero or role, or just polish up your existing skills, GameLeap is the proven place for competitive gamers to hone their craft and unlock their secret potential. Hit the link on screen right now, to take advantage of our special offer for a 25% discount, guys. 25%, and start your journey today.